Hello, welcome to our RecapPlus channel with me, Matthew. Today we will watch a recap movie called Sniper, Ultimate Kill, released in 2017. This is a spoiler content video. So please turn on the subtitle and let's start the story. In Colombia, a criminal kingpin is enjoying a lavish evening in a jacuzzi with a lady when he meets his demise at the hands of a sniper right in the water. Simultaneously, in Virginia, a former Marine spends his night drowning his sorrows in a motel, ultimately deciding to take his own life after reflecting on the losses within his old squad and the haunting PTSD from his time at war. A funeral is held in his honor several days later, leaving Master Sergeant Brandon, a former comrade from the Marine squad, grappling with the loss of his friend and questioning the choices that led to this tragic end. Brandon wonders if he might face a similar fate, but Major Miller, another friend, reminds him of the toll their profession can take on a soldier's psyche. However, Miller has another mission in store for Brandon, this time in Colombia to assist the DEA with a critical case. Grieving and reluctant, Brandon initially declines, but Miller persists, compelling him to board a car already arranged to transport him to the agency's private jet. Hours later, Brandon arrives in Bogota, and his driver can't contain his excitement as he recognizes the renowned elite sniper. Their destination is the National Police Headquarters, where Brandon meets Santiago, his appointed observer, Captain Garza, the police leader serving as a liaison, and Master Gunnery Sergeant Beckett, his father. Despite their joyful reunion after a prolonged separation, father and son maintain a professional demeanor by addressing each other by rank. The meeting gets underway, and Brandon is briefed on his target, Morales, the notorious cartel boss in Colombia. Morales controls a significant portion of the contraband routes leading to the US border and recruits street children as his henchmen. His network remains untraceable, and he has been out of sight for a decade. However, his recent return is signaled by the mysterious deaths of all of Morales' rivals, including the jacuzzi incident. The precision of these killings suggests the involvement of an ex-military sniper, likely hired by Morales to eliminate his competition. The agents have received information indicating that Morales will soon be at his farm. They request Brandon's assistance as backup for a planned raid, but Brandon initially declines, expressing his aversion to babysitting assignments. A heated argument ensues but is abruptly cut short by the arrival of DEA agent Kate, who is furious because the meeting commenced without her, and she's in charge of the operation. Kate provides them with detailed information about the farm and insists that Brandon take the mission seriously, despite his reservations. Brandon eventually agrees to follow orders and join the mission. The next day, Kate's DEA agents and Garza's police officers advance toward the farm, while Brandon and Santiago remain concealed in the woods. The team parks their vehicles at a safe distance and cautiously approaches the farm on foot, using trees for cover. As soon as Beckett grants them permission, they storm the house by breaking down the door, only to trigger a trap that results in a devastating explosion. Agents at the back of the formation survive the blast, but those at the front are killed, except for Garza, who sustains a leg injury from a sniper hired by Morales. Kate, hiding behind a farm vehicle, attempts to reach Garza and help him escape, but the sniper takes another shot and fatally wounds Garza. Brandon manages to locate the enemy sniper and fires back, but the sniper narrowly dodges the bullet and escapes before Brandon can attempt another shot. Later, at the station, a furious Samson demands an explanation for the disastrous operation. The team concludes that there may be a mole within the police force leaking information to the enemy. Kate and Brandon also note that the sniper appeared to target Kate from the beginning, using Garza's leg wound as bait. The second shot missed its mark only because Kate inadvertently placed Garza between herself and the sniper. Samson suggests canceling the operation, but Kate is determined to press on. Their argument rages on, prompting Brandon to step in and propose a compromise. They have 48 hours to track down the enemy, and if they fail, they will agree to return home. After the meeting, Beckett warns Brandon that the other sniper likely knows his identity due to that missed shot. Brandon heads to his room in the DEA safe house in Las Cruces, the place where he will stay during his mission in Colombia. Despite assurances from other agents about the tight security, Brandon remains skeptical, believing that a skilled sniper could easily penetrate any of the rooms. Meanwhile, El Diablo, the sniper hired by Morales, is spending time with his girlfriend when he receives an urgent call informing him that Kate and Brandon are staying in the DEA safe house. Having failed to eliminate them previously, he sees this as an opportunity to redeem himself. Back in Brandon's room, he reads an article on the internet about his friend's death, which highlights the crisis within the armed forces as many soldiers leave the military with various mental health issues. Kate suddenly interrupts him, expressing her gratitude for his support during the meeting. She confides in Brandon, admitting that she has never lost a soldier under her command and is struggling to cope with Garza's death. Overwhelmed by her emotions, Kate rushes out of the room, tears in her eyes, and heads for the elevator. Meanwhile, Brandon continues his research on different bullet types and uses the radio to check on Santiago's guard duty. Kate, on the other hand, visits a popular bar and takes physical action against a harasser who crosses boundaries. She later meets with Carlos, a priest known for his work with the impoverished community. Carlos expresses his belief that Kate cannot win against someone as dangerous as Morales and advises her to give up. However, Kate is resolute and refuses to back down, prompting Carlos to share the limited information he possesses. El Diablo is the name of the hired sniper, and being employed by Morales, he likely possesses information about Morales' secret hideout. Santiago finally notices something amiss and urgently calls Brandon. Brandon swiftly heads to the roof, armed. Santiago is correct, there is a distant sniper, and both Brandon and El Diablo are poised to see who will take the first shot. Brandon fires first, but El Diablo skillfully deflects the bullet before firing in return. Brandon decides to take cover behind a wall after evading the bullet, hoping to deceive El Diablo into believing he's been hit. The next morning, the team retrieves the bullet and seeks Miller's expert opinion through a video call. Miller identifies the bullet as a sophisticated one with laser guidance technology, which allows control over its trajectory. El Diablo might not necessarily be a former military officer or an exceptional marksman. The bullets themselves are doing much of the work. Miller also confirms Brandon's concerns about the inadequacy of the current safehouse's security. Samson concludes the meeting with a promise to find a more suitable shelter through the CIA. Meanwhile, Morales is at his secure residence, teaching his boys the importance of fighting for what is rightfully theirs, without fear. However, his methods leave many of them fearing him more than respecting him. Morales heads to his office to contact El Diablo, only to discover El Diablo sitting in his chair. El Diablo demands. The following morning, Kate and Brandon are en route to a new safe house. Kate receives a phone call from Carlos, who has discovered that El Diablo has a girlfriend. He texts Kate the girlfriend's address but warns her to be cautious since Morales' henchmen have control over the neighborhood. Brandon acknowledges the truth of her observation, but before he can elaborate, their car is struck by a truck. Men working for Morales emerge from the truck and open fire on them. Brandon and the accompanying police officers return fire, while Kate seeks refuge. Morales' thugs are all killed, but tragically, Santiago loses his life in the firefight. Brandon notices Kate's disappearance and discovers her phone on the car seat with Carlos's address still on the screen. Kate becomes aware that she is being observed by numerous men as she enters a shady neighborhood. When she knocks on the designated door, she encounters Mara, Morales' girlfriend, who immediately tries to shut the door upon seeing Kate's badge. Kate attempts to prevent her from doing so, but this draws the attention of the thugs gathered around, and Mara pushes Kate back, allowing Morales' men to apprehend her. When the thugs begin to line up, preparing to assault her, Brandon arrives and opens fire, resulting in the death of several assailants. One of them escapes on a stolen motorbike, while Kate detains the last one. Fortunately, Brandon takes Mara by surprise from behind, enabling Kate to disarm her. He also confiscates Mara's locket, which contains a picture of her with El Diablo. Brandon sends the photo to his father, requesting facial recognition software to be employed for a database search. He informs Beckett that they were ambushed earlier, indicating the possibility of ongoing surveillance. At the police station, Samson is growing increasingly agitated and accuses Beckett of giving his son excessive authority over the operation. Beckett dismisses his concerns. Kate decides to take Brandon to her former neighborhood so that Carlos can keep an eye on them for a while. Carlos informs them that Morales has informants within the police force due to his influential connections and his influence over small-time criminals. Kate proposes that disrupting Morales' network could force him out of hiding, and Carlos agrees to provide some names. Over the next few days, various men who worked for Morales, including his banker, are found dead across town. Brandon is responsible for these killings, targeting every name Carlos provided. Miller contacts Beckett to express concern about Brandon's actions, but Beckett has no knowledge of his son's whereabouts. One evening, Brandon confides in Carlos and discusses the Marine who died before the mission began. He remains anxious about a similar fate and learns from Carlos that the only way to prevent such a death is to forgive himself for the moral injury he has inflicted. Meanwhile, Morales eventually departs from his hiding place, albeit to search for El Diablo at Mara's location. He is growing weary of the losses among his men and decides to pay El Diablo all the money he is owed up front, promising even more if he can stop Brandon. In the meantime, El Diablo makes a deal with a local informant to determine Kate and Brandon's hiding location, and this leads him to discover Father Carlos. Later that night, Kate receives a cryptic message from Carlos, instructing her to meet him at the plaza at 10 p.m. However, When she attempts to contact him, there's no response. Recognizing the trap, Kate and Brandon take cover in a building across from the plaza, awaiting any signs of El Diablo's presence. A few hours later, a truck arrives at the park, and Kate identifies the men exiting the vehicle as the thugs from Mara's neighborhood. They engage in some suspicious activity behind the truck before departing. When the truck is moved, Kate and Brandon are stunned to discover Carlos bound to a tree in the park. Kate is eager to rescue Carlos, but Brandon restrains her, emphasizing that El Diablo is using this as bait. He decides to save Carlos by shooting the rope, but his first shot only grazes it, exposing their location to El Diablo. Fortunately, Brandon succeeds with a second shot and frees Carlos just as El Diablo opens fire, resulting in Carlos getting shot in the process. The next day, the entire town gathers to say their farewells to Father Carlos, including Kate and Brandon. While standing at the back of the crowd, Brandon notices the man who had escaped on the bike a few days earlier. He pursues the man through several streets and manages to apprehend him. The thug breaks down in tears when Brandon reminds him that Morales was responsible for the priest's death, as Carlos had helped him during his time on the streets. Brandon assures the young man that the DEA will provide witness protection, and he agrees to reveal the location of Morales' hideout. With this critical information, Samson's team swiftly locates Morales and arrests him. Morales will be transported to Miami to face charges in an American federal court. Brandon is concerned that El Diablo will try to prevent Morales from reaching Miami and revealing their secrets, which turns out to be a valid concern. El Diablo manages to enter the United States using a convincing fake passport and contacts his weapons supplier, who has provided him with a car loaded with new weaponry. Brandon, Kate, and Beckett gather at the Homestead Air Reserve Base in Florida, where they expect El Diablo to attack while Morales is being transported to Miami. Miller also informs them that the bullets used by El Diablo had been disappearing from the DEA's own vault, indicating that the mole was not with the Colombian police but within their own organization. As the convoy departs the airbase with the fake Morales in one vehicle and the real Morales in a separate van, a group of criminals waits on the road, seemingly aware of the ruse. However, they don't attack the convoy until the van arrives, suggesting that they were sent by the mole to protect his identity. El Diablo also waits for the van and, after shooting it to stop it, the thugs open fire on the vehicle. Miller eliminates the attackers, and when El Diablo shoots to ensure the van's passengers are dead, Brandon identifies his location and takes him out with a well-aimed shot. The convoy continues its journey to Miami, and it's revealed that the man under the hood is, indeed, Morales. The van had been a decoy, completely empty, and moved using a remote control to deceive any potential threats. In a surprising turn of events, Kate, Miller, and Brandon arrest Samson after uncovering his betrayal. Despite Samson's initial denials, Miller's IT team had hacked his phone and collected incriminating evidence. Samson's text messages contained fake names, but the evidence was enough to expose his treachery. He eventually confesses. In honor of their fallen comrades, she punches Samson for his betrayal. Following the arrest, Miller returns to Washington, and Beckett decides it's time for him to retire from the action-packed life of military and law enforcement. Before parting ways, Beckett shares a warm hug with his son and acknowledges that Brandon and Kate make a great team. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. You can also click on the videos on your screen to watch more interesting videos. And please share your thoughts about today's video in the comments down below. Lastly, always remember to stay safe and stay healthy. See you in the next video.